what is the top reason people leave jobs?
People.
It's their boss.
Yeah.
It's not the CEO.
Yeah.
It's who is my direct leader.
Welcome to Spotlight Sioux Falls, where culture meets commerce and the people behind our favorite places get the mic.
We're your hosts, Melissa Goodwin and Steve Schmidt, and we're sitting down with the makers, doers, and dreamers shaping the soul of our city.
From storefronts to side hustles, tattoos to tech startups, we are telling the stories that make Sioux Falls shine.
Because behind every business is a human story, and those stories, they're what make our community feel like home. This is Spotlight Sioux Falls.
Hi, this is Steve Schmidt with Spotlight Sioux Falls. Today, we are down in the offices with Christina Coda Donovan with Coda Coaching and Consulting. And Christina, you just got married and you had an awesome honeymoon. It sounds like you got another one coming up. You've been a busy lady and you've also been growing this company for a while and you've got a big event coming up. So we want to make sure before we get to the meat of who you are and what you do, because that's important, let's get this big event out in front of everybody, because to them, I don't think you guys want to miss this if you're running a business today. What are you putting on and where is it going to be and when is it happening?
Yeah, so this year will be our third year of an annual Leadership and Culture Summit. We hold it right downtown at the Hilton Garden Inn, and we've got a jam-packed day full of speakers. We have a very interactive experience that we provide in being able to give you tools that are practical that you can take away and implement the next day. So we try to take a workshop style approach and give you worksheets and workbooks that you're able to take really good notes, and tools and templates that you get to take back and implement the next day.
Now, my understanding, it's almost halfway sold out already. It's getting there, right? And these people always rush at the end. It will sell out. Like, how do they get a hold of you and buy a ticket now for them and their teams and everybody they know who can benefit from this?
Great question. You can definitely go to our website, codaconsulting.net. There is an easy button right as you find the landing page. It's also on all of our socials, so LinkedIn, either under my name, Christina Coda Donovan, or the Coda Coaching and Consulting landing page.
Awesome. So I think the funny part is I told Christine, I said, I was your worst nightmare, and I'm getting a little bit better from an HR perspective, because process and people and all the difficult things when you run a business is hard. And some days you just want to throw your hands up and go, I don't know what to do. And instead of doing that, people call you and say, I need your help. And they probably need their help with a lot of different things. Talk to us about those core competencies within your business on, let's say, the top 2 or 3 reasons why people reach out to you. What's happening at that time?
You know, I think problem solving and a little bit of crisis management at times, which oddly enough, like, really fills my bucket and energizes me. Give me your worst problems. Give me your tough employee relations situations. And we love jumping in and tackling those. I would also say just some of the feedback we've gotten from other clients that have used us in the past. We really want to partner with you and walk alongside you in your journey. So we help you build a people strategy. And that's the longer term partnership. But even if it is hey, we need you right now, it's in crisis mode, let's roll our sleeves up and dive right in.
Yeah, people strategy. That sounds like a complex topic. People are hard to manage. We are innately curious creatures. We have emotions, and then we bring them into the workplace and present a lot of different opportunities and sometimes challenges. Mm-hmm. When you come in and you say people development to a business that maybe hasn't focused on that at all, or they thought they did and they realized they don't, what's the gap look like and how do you close that? Like, what are the first things that they can do with you where you see the most improvement?
You know, that's actually kind of our sweet spot, is really trying to make those approaches very practical.
Good.
And we don't want to overwhelm any of the leaders. Let's find a real simple approach that you can grasp quickly and easily implement.
Yeah.
So it might be something as simple as, here's the talking points on how to have that conversation with your person. Oh, well, I can totally do that.
Yeah.
And so it makes it just easier on them, reduces their stress, and then they're able to, be more effective in their role.
Is it safe to say that you're writing more of a playbook than a handbook?
I like that.
It seems to me like it's a thing that people can action on. When I thought of, I wrote a handbook. I did not write it, pardon me. And I remember thinking, and pardon me for saying this, I was like, you guys, this is gonna get stuffed away and no one's ever gonna look at it again. Why are we paying this money to have this person write this? And they said, well, we need it. And my brain, being how it was, went to, well, how are we gonna use it?
Yeah,
And if we can't use it once, then we can't use it at all.
sure.
So when you think about the work you love to do, how did you get into it? Because most people would never want the job you have because they don't want to wrangle people problems. They don't want to. Was this a childhood thing where you knew that this is what you wanted to do, or how did you get into this exact career before you even thought about starting your company?
Well, I actually started out loving the study of people. So my favorite classes starting in high school were psychology and sociology, and just really understanding how people think, why they do what they do, what makes them that way, nature versus nurture, and all that. And so actually that's the path that I was taking in college.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, you might have to get a doctorate degree to make any money doing that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's pivot a little bit,
Right.
and really, bumped into human resources from a business approach. And I thought it was a really great mold of, being able to understand people, work with people, but also, how it intertwines in helping businesses be more effective and therefore more profitable.
I want to hear your opinion on one of the biggest issues I've not only seen, but realize that the lack of planning to do it is detrimental. It's the first day and the employee shows up day one.
Yeah.
And they maybe have a computer. They have no idea where anything is. And Joe, the sales guy next to them, goes, I guess I'm giving you a tour. And they sit there again for 2 hours and wait for the next person. Do you see that a lot when you're coming in as an issue? And just talk about that, because I think it's more detrimental than owners think when it doesn't happen the right way.
We actually do see it a lot. And we have a couple of different training sessions actually that we focus on that, but
Yeah.
we help leaders build their playbook related to that. We call it the candidate experience and the employee experience. What did you tell them as a candidate?
Ooh.
And have you made all of those things come true as an employee?
Yeah.
And that first day experience is a really telltale sign of how that's going to go long term.
Yeah.
So if you're walking into the dirty desk and, full of the last person's stuff, it's probably a pretty good indicator of how the future is going to go. So,
Or 3 people's stuff and you're opening the drawers, you're like, oh my God. I remember, I'm not going to say this story, but there has been numerous events where I've had to be involved with HR where you move into someone's office and uncover documents that you just shouldn't see. Whether it's commission reports or something, you feel like you might have walked into a little bit of a graveyard. And that's a scary feeling. But I think everything else after that matters just as much, if not more. And I want to talk about the employee experience because it's not something we talked about 20 years ago. I think right now, balancing remote work and understanding how to work remotely. I tell Melissa a lot of times, dogs didn't stay at home with their owners all day. I don't know what we're supposed to do now because that didn't happen before COVID.
True.
A lot's changed in life. What are you seeing that post-COVID employers maybe haven't adopted that they could, or at least open their eyes to, like, this is how things are working now, and this is how people expect to be treated, and this is the distance you need to go to be there. And I'll call it an issue I can think of as boundaries. A lot of people have boundaries and say, well, I won't work after this date, or if you give me that on a Friday, I'm just going to tell you no.
yeah.
And I'm not saying that's good or bad, but I don't think that happened as much pre-internet.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think people are talking about that enough, to be honest with you. You're definitely seeing a lot more hybrid jobs than you did before. But, kind of going back to one of your earlier points about, yes, it's part of the employee experience. So what are the expectations that you're setting, and how clear am I on day one on what those things are?
Yeah.
And that's when some of the conflict can occur really early. And we tell employers, if you have turnover in that first 6 months, you either have a recruiting issue or you have an onboarding issue.
Yeah.
And it's when the experience does not match the expectations. So how the workplace dynamics have changed related to that, I would definitely say people do have different boundaries than what they used to. And I'm not quite sure that employers are spending enough time trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Versus, well, end of discussion, everybody's coming back to the office.
Right.
And, and then you have this exodus of folks that say, that's just not going to work for me anymore
Right.
because that's not the experience that I've had the last few years.
Yeah. That's interesting because I'm looking at it from a small business owner perspective. And I have to take my lens off and really think about, if you're listening to this, you're probably a mix of everybody like we've had. You might be in a hospital system. You might be running a 400-person company. You might be thinking, is it time to hire my first employee, or do I do that W-2 or 1099? What sizes of companies do you work with? Do you have call it a sweet spot?
Yeah, we work with small to medium-sized businesses typically. We've got groups as small as 5 employees, up to 500-ish. But I would say a majority of our groups are in between that 30 and 90-ish employee range.
So it gets tough, isn't it? Yeah. It's kind of like when you put middle management in, if you will, and sort of it gets one tier away from where it was. I see that being a very good spot for you. Now, do you work with just Sioux Falls companies, or are you working all over the country?
A majority of our clients are Sioux Falls based. I think a lot of that has to do with just relationship based selling.
Yeah.
We do have clients across the state and into some surrounding states as well, though.
Cool. Let's get personal for a second. Talk about fun stuff. Since HR's in the room, I got to be careful. My understanding is you got married recently.
I did.
And so this is now, you are blended to families. This is a joyous year for you. And then you celebrated it all with a pretty rad concert experience. My understanding is you guys went to a Metallica concert.
We did.
And
Actually, 2 of them.
2 of them.
They do stadium tours, and they do a Friday night show and a Sunday night show, and you have to do both.
That's so cool. Now, as a kid, I know this is Ryan, your husband's thing.
Yes.
What concerts did you attend? What was the first concert experience you ever had? Now compare that to Metallica.
Oh, that's hilarious. I got to really go back into the files.
TLC?
I did not listen to Metallica growing up, I'll be honest. I believe it was Color Me Bad.
That's a great concert. That's a great one. A lot of us went to something just like that. I think it was MC Hammer, Boyz II Men, and
yes,
TLC was mine.
Very hip hop back then.
I think Melissa and I were at that was my first concert. But yeah, hip hop, bright colors. When you offer a fun night, call it On the Town, if you get the time to do that, where do you guys spend your time?
We're typically downtown if we have a local fun night planned, yeah.
So downtown to you is close to where you work. It's you mentioned relationship selling. You're not from Sioux Falls. There's a common tie here. You've really done consistent work of getting to know people one-to-one in this town. Talk to me about that. Do you have a method behind that? Is it just like this is who you are and people call you, they reach out to you, you reach out to them? How are you doing that? Because I think a lot of business owners also struggle with that.
I wish I had a method for it, to be honest with you. I think it is, you just have to get yourself out there and find the things that make you most comfortable, or the best ways that you can make connections that are real. And so, chamber mixers are certainly one of those things.
We've heard that a lot.
The Sioux Falls Chamber, they do a bang up job. We're a member, and they just provide so many opportunities for you to make connections.
Yep.
From there, it's really continuing to create connections that build community. So there are certainly individuals in this town that I give a ton of thanks to for giving me referrals. And, but it's also, who can I pay that forward to. So if it's a service or a type of business that I don't offer, I really love being able to refer those folks to my clients. And that's really created some synergies the last few years for sure that I've experienced. Hey, I don't do this work, but I know somebody that does and they're awesome. So here's a great intro.
That's so cool. That speaks a lot about you. And I think that's the best kind of business development, is one that kind of just happens while you're doing your thing. A playbook's always good, right? And I think that's the world I've lived in, is like, how can I action this in real time? And then go back and change it when it doesn't work. Growing pains. And as you've become more mature in the business, what have been some of the things you didn't expect? Was it, the cost of doing business? Was it, you were surprised at the amount of people who came out of the woodwork? I'd love to hear that, because that's fun to hear that surprise. And we love surprises as business owners that are positive.
I think maybe a couple of things. One is, and I'm not sure why, but I'm continually surprised by the Sioux Falls community in a very positive way. The amount of connecting and collaborating, and it's definitely one of the reasons we do our Leadership and Culture Summit. Is a byproduct of that day is more connections, and that's again sort of a pay it forward. And maybe one of the other surprises is just how often I could probably hit the repeat button on everybody struggles with the same exact things.
Yeah.
And I tell a lot of clients, I'm like, I'm serious, but I'm kidding at the same time. You're not that special.
Yeah.
Because people are truly dealing with the same issues,
Right.
And if I could have this magical wand of, I can solve it for you, I can solve it for you, I can solve it for you, that would be the best thing on earth. But unfortunately, people make themselves grind through it.
Oh, it's a human condition, isn't it?
It is. So it's like, if we can just lighten that load for you a little bit, and even if it's a little bit at a time, that's okay. Or, we can go full bore, whatever you're ready for.
Your world presents a lot of opportunities to ask questions that I think people out there would want to know about. I want to talk about things that, if you're not a boss, you don't manage a company, but you're sitting and going, I'm an employee. How does an employee who's unengaged with HR today, because they only see them as the corner office and the packet, how do they engage with HR in a way that they might not know how today? I engage with HR in a meaningful way numerous times. The first memory I had was, not everybody has this, but I had a good experience calling into the EAP after guided there by a HR resource who was holding my info and confidentiality during a very stressful time of, as a whirlwind going into treatment. So that was very meaningful to me. I remember a lot during that. But I didn't know that they could do that. I thought I had to go figure it out on my own. I didn't know it was a resource that existed.
I think it's exactly what you said. People don't always know how HR can help them. And so I would say just ask the question, this is my issue, or this is what I'm struggling with, or, I have a few questions. I'm not sure if you're the right person. They truly have chosen this profession because they want to help, and they want to help develop people. They want to help them be their best.
Yeah.
And so, if the corner office looks a little scary, trust me, they're more scared you won't walk in than you are of walking in.
Yeah. Well, and that is also the human condition, is I want to make sure I'm doing a good job. I don't want to get in trouble, but that's not what HR is there for. HR is really there to put in a playbook, which you're doing, to help put some boundaries in the business on how to operate with people. Is that really the framework of how I understand HR? Is like, people don't have that today. You come in and put that there. Over time, things are going to get visibly, I don't want to oversell it, better to them. How soon can I see, call it a tangible result when I bring you in? Is it 6 months, 12 months, day one? And what does day one look like when I start working with you?
Well, I think it certainly varies based upon what you're hoping to accomplish. Our very favorite place to start is, just a needs analysis. We kind of make it a fun workshop. We ask a lot of questions. We joke with you. Because we just want you to be comfortable to tell us where you're really at today.
Yes. Not where you wish we knew you were at.
Yes. But it gives us that perspective then to say, okay, if this is where you're at today, then let's jump to where do you want to be? And then we like to help them then build that roadmap of how do we get to this ideal state?
Yeah.
And then we put in some specific milestones and timelines behind what they're looking to accomplish.
That's good. I mean, I think that's what people would want is like measure it now, right? Like,
Right.
Let's see how that goes. A toxic boss is not good. You hear a lot about it starts at the top. What is your opinion on that? Because I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I think when you're a one-person company, you're probably right. As you grow, your ideas become less good. I mean, thank God other people's ideas are there, but when is that bad, and how do you identify it? And is it fixable when maybe someone hasn't been operating from the top in a way that you would deem like not toxic? And I don't know how to say that other than I might call you if I'm toxic and go, no, it's not me. It's the employees.
If they're truly toxic, they definitely think it's not them.
Yeah.
But, the one thing, we oftentimes come back to is what is the top reason people leave jobs?
People.
It's their boss.
Yeah.
It's not the CEO.
Yeah.
It's who is my direct leader. And so again, it's a major focus in our Leadership and Culture Summit is how do we empower leaders to really operate at that level of functionality of I have the most impact on my employee and their experience.
Yeah.
And so how do I capitalize on that opportunity instead of run a little scared, avoid issues, not talk about what needs to be talked about?
Yeah.
The leader has the most amount of impact. So how do we help you help yourself?
How do you work with leaders who have teams of 6 to 8 to 10 people? And they come into you and say, oh my gosh, I've got these 2 people over here, like they need to go. I've got these people over here. I mean, as a baseline, is that kind of a, lack of a better term, a dumping ground where you kind of go, okay, thanks for sharing that with me?
Well, I like to fix things. I have this inherent issue with fixing
That's
things.
why you do what you do.
But, I like to ask, a few questions around it, but I oftentimes, start with them. Do you want me to just listen? Do you want me to help you solve the problem, or do you want me to go solve it for you?
You got a good psychology dose in college, didn't you? That's great.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, and that's empowering too. You're not coming in and probably doing what they think, which is you're going to do this now. You're doing this wrong. You give them also some skin in the game, accountability. We talked about that on our first call.
Yeah.
Accountability is what everybody secretly desires, it seems like, but nobody wants.
Yeah.
I think if I had to look at where we are now, we're remote culture. I mean, accountability is a little step removed, right? Because you're not checking in at the door. They're saying, I'm going to get the work done. Maybe it's not 9 to 5. When you see accountability as an issue, how does it look? When does it look bad? Like when you go, ooh, I see it.
Yeah. Especially in the small to medium sized businesses that we work with, we have this need to be Midwest nice here. And so, we don't want to hurt people's feelings, or we don't want to go too hard to the hoop. Or sometimes you get the exact opposite where, they're very dictatorial in their approach.
Sure.
I would say we see accountability issues quite often, and it's because people aren't giving feedback real and timely along the way, and then they're not willing to have the hard conversations when they need to. So again, we give them a playbook that helps them do that. We help them practice it so they can grow in their confidence to go back and influence.
How do they get feedback when they're not used to it today? Like it's like, well, I don't know. Do we do a survey? Do I ask people one-on-one, hey, how you doing, champ? Let's go out to lunch.
It's all of it. It really is. But it's also getting that leader to open themselves up to it.
Yeah.
The age-old saying, feedback is a gift. But if you're not used to receiving that gift, you don't always know how to internalize it and actionize it. So, you know, that is certainly an area that we spend time. But it's also about, can you be very intentional and somehow systematize it?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if every time we have a one-on-one meeting, which hopefully you're doing at least once a month, but all too often, you know, those
ones,
conversations aren't happening. Yeah, you know, and so it's in that interaction. What is one thing I've done great for you this week? How have I supported you the most this week? Where's an area that you still need more of my support? So you as the manager are giving them permission to tell you that stuff versus waiting for them to just come out with it. So you're
prompting
helping smoothly expedite that feedback process.
Okay, so in continuing along the previous question where I kind of talked about remote work, let's go deeper on that one. There's generations and generational differences. People are working still in their 60s and 70s sometimes. We have people who are, you know, 18 or sometimes in retail and restaurants younger, but what are those differences and the perceptions of those versus reality? What is happening today with Gen Z, millennials, Gen X? What does it all look like?
Yeah, you know, there is certainly categories of differences that will always occur just based upon what is your stage of life. You know, so what the boomers wanted and how they grew up, you know, will always be different, you know, than the Gen Zs and the generations after them. There will always be differences. The thing that I try to get people to focus on is, can you block out the noise of some of those labels, but just really focus on the individual person and, you know, communicating effectively with them and where are they at, and you're trying to meet them where they're at.
Yeah, but it's easier just to generalize and put everybody in a bucket, isn't it?
It's so much easier.
Yeah, put them on a chart. For a guy who loves spreadsheet, that does seem nice until you're right. It's the human in the conversation. What are the top 3 things, if you had to nail down, that you see time and time again that leaders are making as mistakes?
Not being clear with their vision and communicating effectively what is the vision of the organization, here's where we're headed, and in turn, you know, bringing people along with them. They think that happens through osmosis, and boy, it does not.
Yeah.
You know, 2, I would definitely say is they take this really great individual contributor. You are so awesome at your job. We're going to make you manage people now.
Yeah.
Yay. But I get 0 tools, you know, in my toolbox to go do that.
And my skill set might not be set for that, right?
I might not love that. That might not fill my bucket.
Yeah, I've been there.
But we're going to force you to do it anyways because you're really great engineer.
In 6 months, you're going to say, I want to be a salesperson again. And that's going to cause all sorts of internal problems.
Yeah. You know, and so that again is where we try to, you know, really spend time on the leadership development and the leadership coaching. 3rd, you know, I could probably give you a list of 10, but maybe 3rd is just really along the lines of that, you know, communication is how I can individually meet my people where they're at. And so communicating expectations of the role, non-negotiables, what's going well, what isn't going well. It's that constant communication and feedback loop so people know if they're winning. And so often, you know, we do exercises called role clarity exercises. And people will say, I didn't even know I was supposed to be doing that.
Oh, wow.
Or I didn't know that was going to be an outcome of my role. I don't know if I'm doing great or not doing great. And so we try to do, through that exercise, we really get people to articulate, what does winning look like? What does success look like in this role? And how will I know when I get there? So when we've helped them hire people after we do that exercise, the new hires will say, I have never had such a well laid out
That's so great.
onboarding plan and you know, success roadmap for success, because now I know what you expect out of me and what winning looks like in 90 days, 6 months, and a year from now.
I like that a lot, what winning looks like. I don't think I mean, you've probably heard that before a million times, but we all want to win. We all want to go home.
Yeah.
And some of us own businesses, that's a little different, so what? But as an employee, I'm going to rattle off 5 questions right now that you probably are thinking out there, at least it's in my head.
Okay.
But if you're a leader or if you're an employee, these will all apply to you. Number 1, if you're a leader and let's say you're managing a company that's average size, Friday hits at 5 p.m. Do I never communicate with anybody again until Monday at 8? Is that a culture by culture thing? Or is, I can tell you get a lot of those. Talk to me about that, because I have been the guy sending it on the weekend. Whoops. And then I've conditionally turned that off. And it's very small company. It can still be confusing when you bring somebody on. What do you tell them the expectations are? Do you see that a lot?
I don't see them telling people. I see them surprising people.
Yes.
So in those scenarios, like, oh my gosh, I just got this text from my boss. It's 10 o'clock on a Saturday. Do I do something with it? Don't I do something with it? Or my
Am I going to
boss,
get fired? Yeah.
yeah, my boss is sending me emails at 10 o'clock at night. Am I expected to answer them at 10:05? Or, you know, what is that expectation? I would say, you know, again, it's what are the boundaries and, you know, expectations of the role and being really clear about those.
Yep.
I would say you are seeing employees push back on those more so today than you ever did before.
Yep.
But, you know, it's also some of your personal sensitivities. I mean, I've been in a scenario where a previous boss of mine sent me a text on Christmas Eve telling me I needed to lay off 30 people when I came back to work on Monday.
Merry Christmas.
I will never, ever, ever do that to any of my people.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. So there's a lot of stories. And I think the more people hear these, the more they won't think they're so crazy.
Yeah.
Because like you said, we're all people. Number 3, if I'm hired on somewhere and it says, oh, you're at 40 hours a week, here's your job, like there's a certain label for it. I think a lot of people get confused. It pretty much means, well, it's not 8 to 5. It's kind of what does the job demand? And I think that was always a gray area that during the transition of this is, so there's a term for that kind of employee. I think salespeople were one of them. That was kind of like, you know, you're on the clock, but you're also flexible, but you're also accountable. Is there clarity in what kind of employee you are? I believe it was hourly versus you're paid as annual salary, and now you have to be treated differently. If you're paid an annual salary, you got to be available.
Yeah,
If you're
exempt
hourly,
versus non-exempt.
Thank you. Yes. Talk to me about that. So if I'm a non-exempt employee, that means I am not exempt.
I get paid for every hour that I work and I'm eligible for overtime.
Exempt is I get paid one amount.
One amount, it's a salary,
Okay. And
usually a bi-weekly basis.
how does that apply then? It's not hourly, but am I measured 8 to 5? Like what is the rules behind that?
Well, you know, the rules when you're exempt salaried is there is no other real rules.
Yeah.
You know, so then it comes back to your your company culture
Yes.
and the
There you go.
expectations that you set, you know. So from an employee experience perspective, you know, we would always coach those managers and company owners to think about that very
Yeah.
strategically.
Yep.
You know, yes, you can work your people 70 plus hours a week. I'd highly advise you don't, because they won't stay, because they won't put up with it anymore.
Yeah. They
You
won't.
know, and 2, it's not a sustainable process. It's not sustainable as an individual to work 70 hours a week on a continuous basis. And that's where employees' health comes into play.
Yeah.
And you know, employers are more aware of the total well-being today than what they used to probably when our parents were working.
Yes.
They didn't talk about that stuff. They didn't care about that stuff.
We were
You
licking
might
lead
have.
on the side of the crib back then.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Maybe you were. I wasn't.
Well,
but-
maybe I did too much. Yep.
Yeah. You know, so there's certainly a sweet spot in there, but
Yeah.
communicating, hey, some weeks it might be in the 40s, but there might be some weeks based upon our business being cyclical that you could hit 50 to 60. We don't want that to be the norm, but again, it's conversations, communication, and setting expectations.
Expectations seem to be everything. Okay, so here's my last question for you, and then we're going to let everybody know how to find you. You're so fun to talk to, and so yourself, I could talk to you all day. We could talk to you all day, and I think Sioux Falls could probably listen to you all day because you're just very, you're relaxed and you're articulate and you know what you want and you know what you don't want. And I think that's refreshing. How do you know when someone's going to work out or not? When you walk in day one, are you like, man, these guys might never get it? Or is it everybody can figure it out if they're just willing to kind of step back and look at it? Because that would be great.
I really try to focus on the pre-hire process being really thorough.
Yeah.
And assessments honestly come into play there to get a little better idea of fit. And when we work with employers, I've recruited my entire life. And so this is just sort of in my blood, but you want to hire slow, fire fast. So if you do a really good job at being thorough of scoping the job and knowing what you're looking for out of that role, you'll do a much better job when you recruit and interview people in looking for those specific skills and competencies, so that you've got less of this, oh, I'm not really sure if this person's going to work out. You're just doing your homework up front so well that's just way less of an option when it comes to early turnover.
I think that you gave me one more question. Sorry, I've got to ask
That's okay.
it. I think it's when you are in business, it seems to be that we all want our idea to go into the world at first, right? And then businesses formulate, and then the idea becomes a thing, and you've got to scale it, right? And so in our instance, I said, I definitely got to get out of the way and not be in the CEO seat because there was just some development I needed. I'm not saying I've developed that yet, right? But I think that it's giving me some perspective on how do you look at your own company from the outside when you are small. And I think that someone like you can give me that perspective, which is great, right? Good reason to call her, but there's not a really good, fair way to gauge yourself. Social media certainly is not the way, it's not the true health of your business. How do I determine the true health of my business and whether I need to call you or whether I am still okay, knowing you can't service everybody? And how can I get a fair assessment? Is it getting a consultant to come in and just kind of look at my processes? Is it talking to my ex-employees who left me and say, hey, let's make amends? Like, hey, by the way, what did I do that you would change? What would you recommend?
Probably a few different things. Related to us, we can come in and do an initial assessment. We'll do a complimentary discovery session with you to really, talk through where do you think you're the winning in relation to your people and your people practices. Where do you think you have some opportunities for improvement or pain points? Related to them as an individual, a lot of times, they've been the boss so long, they do think they've got it figured out, or good enough is good enough. And so I really appreciate the fact that you were able to do some self-reflection and say, maybe I'm not the best person for this role at this time, because I just don't think that happens enough. And, the opportunity that we have as the consultant is we don't have any biases. And so, the saying that you can't see the forest through the trees, when you work within the same organization for an extended time period, there's just stuff that you become immune to or that you can't see anymore. And we have the ability to see those things. And then let you know what that looks like and what the impact of those is over both the short term and the long term. And we like to think we do it in a way in which we're not in your face with it, but we're still direct to say, look, this is business impacting and here's the reasons why. But the good news is we can fix it.
Yeah.
And we'll walk alongside you to do that.
That's refreshing to hear. Just as a person who goes through and, co-own a business with somebody and on a day-to-day basis, there's no shortage of issues we are presented with, and it can only scale from there. And if we're small, I can't imagine how big it gets when it's 30, 40, 50, 60 employees. So I guess I've had 40 before. I know that's a lot. And I know we had pretty much 2 full-time HR resources because maybe we weren't doing it right. We had a lot of issues, but we could never catch up to be proactive. Because once we had the resources, it was like we grew so fast, there was only problems.
Sure.
Versus trying to put an employee handbook in when the CEO is obsessed with hypergrowth doesn't really work so well.
Yeah.
or it didn't work because I was maybe the showstopper on executing it, right? And so I think self-awareness is always an improvement tool owners can use. So call Christina if you need some perspective, some good, honest, not in your face, and stuff that isn't just, hey, this is bad, you're bad, or you're bad at this, you're deficient. I love that you're leading with winning, because you got to make them feel like, what am I doing good? Because probably when they call you, they maybe don't feel that good, or they see the problem. But how do they call you? How do they reach out to you in a way that they can get a hold of you and talk to you and have this discovery session? Sounds like there's a lot of value in that. Sort of a mini workshop, if you will, of what's coming up for you.
Yeah, my business phone is my cell phone, and I answer it all the time.
We'll drop it in the comments too, so everybody, or the description below, we'll have your number. Yeah.
Perfect. You can go to our website, codaconsulting.net, and there's several different ways to interact with our team from there as well.
So am I going to ask for you? Am I going to ask for your team? Do I get to see you right away?
You can start with me.
Cool.
And if you're lucky, you get to meet some of the other team too.
I bet you guys have some pretty good HR policies.
We do.
Yeah, in-house.
Yeah, it's funny. What's the saying? Sometimes you're the last.
The shoemaker's son?
The
daughter?
shoemaker's son. I always forget that saying.
Yeah.
I can never get it right. But we do actually have our own handbook.
I love that.
But sometimes, you do put yourself last.
Yeah, I understand that. That's cool. Well, this has been fun. This has been one that if you've stuck through this, you've probably been taking notes. Definitely reach out in the description comments below. We're going to definitely put a link to your conference.
Great.
Workshop, how people can attend. You guys, Christina Coda Donovan with Christina Coda Coaching and Consulting here in downtown Sioux Falls. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for being on this edition of Spotlight Sioux Falls.
Thank you as well.
This episode of Spotlight Sioux Falls is sponsored by Magnetic. We help businesses grow through content that stands out and software that scales your conversations. Not sure how to build your pipeline? You can find us at magnetic.services. Magnetic.services. Your pipeline will thank you.
Thanks for listening to Spotlight Sioux Falls.
These are the stories and the businesses that shape our city. If you heard something today that made you smile, made you think, or maybe reminded you of someone you know in your neighborhood, please share it.
That's how we support local. That's how we grow. And if you know a business owner we should feature, or you want to tell your story, reach out.
Until next time, we're Steve and Melissa, and this is Spotlight Sioux Falls, where local stories get the stage they deserve.